Okay, welcome back. So, at the end of the last video, I had gotten the original, well, yep, there it goes, the original radio out. I've been working on trying to figure out what wire is what in the dash here, so I can put in this aftermarket radio. I had this radio already. It was in my pickup truck, and I took it out and put a different one in my truck. So I had this one just sitting on the shelf. So I've been tracing wires, trying to figure out what wire does what. But I think I'm going to take a break on that and pause that project and work on, I want to try to get the seats out maybe today. So yeah, we'll see. Because if I get the seats out, then I can easily, or a little easier, work on pulling the headliner down to be able to get this upper console down so I can pull out the speakers. Well, I tried and couldn't get the bolts to come loose. I got these two to come loose, but those two I could not to get to come loose. They were so corroded, so I ended up just grinding the head off of both of them. And when you can't, there we go. Just ground the head off of both of them. So I'm gonna use a punch and punch the bolt down through the hole, and knock the nut and everything down through the bottom. That'll be the passenger seat. Be able to come out then, and then I just got to work on getting the driver's seat unbolted, which it's bolted to a plate that's separate from the bottom. So I'll unbolt the seat, get the seat out first, and then mess with that plate then after, which I may end up having to do the same thing and just grind the head off of the bolts and punch them through the bottom. So we'll punch them through the bottom and get this seat out of here. She is. Punch bolts right through the hole. Right through the bottom. So that'd be nice. That's out of here now. I'm gonna get that seat belt. I might end up having to do the same thing to it because the bolt's so rusted on and underneath. But I'm gonna get the seat belt pulled out and then get that seat pulled out. Pull the boot off of the shifter, and then I start taking some little trim pieces off. Be able to rip the flooring out, and I'm gonna put some other flooring down. If anyone's got any ideas on flooring, I'd like to put hardwood down since most of the floor is so flat. It just has a little bit of an up right there, that if I get like the plastic style flooring, I'm hoping I've read online I can heat it up with a heat gun and get it to flex enough that I can lay it in there and make it look all nice and neat like it's meant to be in there. So if anyone's got any ideas, or if someone's done it in the past, give me some tips. I'd really appreciate it. Changed directions again. I took the whole intake system off there, and then I'm gonna work on taking these clamps loose, getting this pipe off, and then the one on the other side over there, getting it off. I wanna clean these pipes up and paint them to match the truck anyway, but also it was kind of in the way because back in here's where I got some water leaks going on. So not only is it leaking right there, I knew about that already, but since I power washed it, I got another leak sprung up right here. So I need to get a new little piece of hose right there to put in, and then a little leak sprung up on the end of this hose. But I'm not sure if it's the hose. It might be just that it needs tightened up back in there. But I'm gonna get this one off out of the way first. That way I can get in there a little easier. That'd be I believe that's the thermostat housing and stuff. So that'll be something I tackle though once I get the water drained. Looking at the driver's seat a little bit, and it's these on this plate I want to take out anyway, but the plate is held down by carriage bolts on the top, which means I gotta try to get them to turn from the bottom, which if they're anything like the other side, they're probably not going to turn. So that may be something I just come in here with a grinder and just cut that whole head off right there. And then when I put the seat back in, then if I do put the plate back in, I'll put just regular bolts through the floor instead of doing these carriage bolts. But I'd like to take the plate out and just mount the seat directly to the floor. But it depends somewhat on what kind of flooring I put in. So that'll have to be decided and changed when I go to put the new floor in. But for now, I think I'm just gonna come in here with a grinder and just try to cut the heads off these carriage bolts. Get this out here and out of the way. But try to come in here and just cut the heads off these carriage bolts. That way I don't have to mess with trying to loosen them up, because I guarantee the bolts or the nuts on the bottom are all seized up and not going to come out very well anyway. I got this 55-gallon drum from work. They were going to throw it out. I was going to use it to drain the fuel tank into that, because it's already got a little bit of diesel in it. They've already used it once. Stop by O'Reilly's. See if I can go where it went. There it is. That little drill ran transfer pump. I don't suggest buying one because they don't work. Ran it forward, backwards, tore it apart, put different O-rings in it. Nothing worked. Didn't work. So I gave up on that. I'll figure out a different way to drain them tanks. But anyway, took the charger line off this side. That was a little bit concerning when I took it off, that there was some oil in there. It's not terrible, but there's definitely some shit in there. But it was only just in that rubber boot. The rest of the charge line and like up into the intercooler and stuff is all clean. So not too concerning. It was a little concerning to see some oil in there, but a little bit's all right. I'm all right with that. I mean, this thing's a 1991. I would have to guess that's probably the stock turbo. I got some shit in there I gotta clean out. I'm gonna take this front part of the turbo off anyway and either paint it or go and have it powder coated anyway. So I'll get that cleaned out real good. I'm not gonna run it like that. But yeah, that'll be nice because that'll open it up. I gotta get replace this piece of hose, and this little fitting there is leaking a little bit too. So that'll be nice to open all that up to get in there easier to replace those. And yeah. And then while that charger pipe is off, I'm gonna paint it too to match the truck. That'll also help too. I just thought about this, is I'm gonna try to paint the engine block some, so that'll help open up this whole side of the engine to be able to paint a little easier. Got this one here to take off. I'm gonna take this one off too and paint it. And that'll also help open up that area to work on and to paint the engine block on this side too. What else I got too is this hand rivet tool. So that way when I take this trim out, when I take the floor up, take this trim out, I can drill these rivets out, and then when I put the trim back in, I can pop new rivets in all along the door trim. So that'll be nice to make it a little easier to pop rivets in there and make it look like it should. Be able to put that trim back in so there's not a gap there or anything. New parts that I got was I got two of these new cable pole type tank drains, because the original drains that were on the tanks were these little quarter turn valves, and they're stuck. They don't turn worth the shit. So I wanted to take this out and put two pole type in, because I'm going to put a solid bed on here, so I'm going to get to this very easy. I was going to run the cables and hook them to here or something like that, so you can just pull them real easy, make it real easy to just purge the air tanks and make sure that there's not a bunch of water in them. Since I was taking it out anyway, I made up this little ball valve fitting adapter thing and threaded it into the tank, one of the tanks, so I can pressurize the air system off of the shop air and be able to check for air leaks and run different air components and stuff like that without having to start the truck up and run the trunk forever to air up the system. Now, I end up having to run it, instead of running it to the tank, I don't know if there's one-way valves in there or something, but when I pressurized that tank, it wouldn't pressurize the rest of the system. So you can see now we got air in the system. I had to run it directly into the air dryer. That's the line that comes in from the compressor. So there's a T there, because normally there's like a tire valve or whatever, so you can put a tire gauge on there and check the pressure manually to check to make sure your gauges are reading right. Anyway, I took that out and put my T in there and blew air directly through the air dryer, and it purged when it got up to pressure. And so now it's at pressure right now, and I can already hear some air leaks. There's one right over here somewhere. Sounds like it's up underneath the cab somewhere, right here in the back. I know it's not the airbags, since I just replaced those, but it's right up in here somewhere. Anyway, I'm gonna start. That's something that's on my list to do, so I'm glad that works. That kind of checks that off my list. So now I can pressurize the system and then keep that valve shut, and then it's got air in it, so I can air up the suspension. I can get air in it while I'm in here in the shop working on it. Especially nice when I go to pull the tanks out and stuff. I can put air in it and raise the cab up instead of having to manually raise it up. Should have air. Yep, got air in here too. So yeah, that'll be nice for working on when I get started working on the outside. I just wanted to get that done and make sure it was going to work. That way I knew I could do it and get it hooked up. Now that's something less I got to worry about when I transfer from the inside to the outside to be able to air up the system. But anyway, I got that charge pipe off. I'm going to work on, probably next on my list is maybe start taking the screws out of the headliner. I don't want to drop the headliner yet, but at least start taking the screws out. That curtain, I may end up just selling the curtain because I'm probably not going to keep the curtain in there. I think I'm going to take it out, and if I do stay in the truck, I'm going to get window shades for all the windows, so I don't have to worry about having a curtain in there. So the curtain will come out, and then because I got to take that curtain track down anyway to get the headliner down, so I'll take the curtain track down and stuff, and then I'm probably just going to sell the curtain because it's in really good shape. I don't like having a curtain in there, so probably take the curtain out, and then that'll help open the cab up a little bit, and then if I do end up sleeping in the truck at all, I'll put window shades on.